All right, so the summative on quadratics tomorrow, almost half the points or more than half the points are very similar to the quiz that we had already on this chapter. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Solve by factoring, solve by completing the square, solve by quadratic formula, solve by square rooting. Is that most of them? And then it also has on it simplify, like add, subtract, multiply, and divide complex numbers or imaginary number stuff, okay? So that's over half the points right there. In addition to that, I'm going to go through what else is on the test. There are questions about powers of I, and I have examples of that in a second, okay? There's also a question like this. And unfortunately, I think this is a really easy question, but some of you will write 4 plus 9i squared, which would be minus 9. 4 minus 9 would be negative 5. Is that right? What's wrong with that? Yeah, you got to distribute, right? You can't just square the first one and the last one. So we would get 4 minus 6i plus 9i squared. And we do remember that I squared is negative 1. So that becomes a minus 9. So we get negative 5 minus 12i. Everybody okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. So this was wrong. Don't write that down like that's how Hofbauer did it. Okay. Also, you need to know how to solve by graphing. For example, a ball was thrown up and it came down at this, and here's the equation. I'm going to give you the equation. You're going to have to find when it hit the ground, or maybe when it was at 100 feet in the air, or whatever. Okay? Those are on worksheet 7B. Numbers 27 through 29 are good examples to look at for those. All right, what about this word? You have to know how to find the discriminant and use it to predict things. Okay, so it's just the b squared minus 4ac. Everybody good? And then if it was a negative number, that would mean what? No real solutions or two complex solutions. It's a multiple choice question, that part of it. So once you've figured out the discriminant, there's going to be a list of choices. You just got to, if it says no real, you pick that one. If it doesn't say no real and it says there's two imaginary, you pick that one. Okay. What if it was exactly 0? One single real solution. And if it was greater than 0? 2 real solutions. Okay. There are 2 application questions. There's one that has to do with area and perimeter. And then there's one where you're like maximizing something. Remember the ones on 8B and 9B about the potter sells bowls, and if he makes 2 more bowls and lowers the price, he'll sell more. Okay, and I have an example. We can practice one on here in a second. You have to accurately graph a parabola. I'm not going to take your calculator away. So if you want to use the table to find 5 accurate points and plot them, whatever you want to do. Okay? Given a graph of a parabola, you have to come up with the equation. I think we practiced that a little bit in this class yesterday. Okay? We can practice that again, though, if you ask. Okay? And there is some review on the test. For example, find the equation of a line perpendicular to this line through this point, or find the distance, or find the midpoint. So make sure you review all those things. They will all come back to haunt you. All right, so these are the things I said I would go over. Our book talked about dividing by 4 because there are only 4 possible solutions when you have powers of I. Does anybody remember what the 4 are? You're on the right track. Go ahead. Yes. Okay, so the 4 answers, the 4 choices are I, negative I, 1, or negative 1, okay, in any order. I don't like to have to remember all those things she just said. I can think them through if I have to, but what I like to do is I just remember 2 of them. I is I, and I squared is negative 1. Can you remember those two things? So what I like to do is divide this by 2, which would be 110. Everybody okay? Remember your exponent rules? And I squared is, it's the only one I can remember, -1. Now you could use your calculator if you had to, right? Use the parentheses. I hope you don't need it. -1 to an even power would turn out to be 1. Okay, what about 315? That's not divisible by 2. Ah, that's really badly done. I can't see. Yes? Does everybody get? I just took 1 out, so there's 314 still. I'll leave that 1 out there hanging by himself, okay? 314 is divisible by 2, 157. I squared is -1 to an odd power is -1. And we have that times I, so we get -I is probably how it would look on the choice, okay? Can you try the last one? Yes? Would be -1. Okay, so the only one I don't have as a choice is positive I, and if I'd added one more I on this one, it would have been a positive I, whatever. Enough practice? Okay. There's one question and it's multiple choice, so. But they're not ones you can do on the calculator, okay? Calculator will do a few powers of I for you if you know, put it in the right form and do all this stuff, but it won't do that high of powers. All right, question like this, and yes, I made these up. The population of Hoosits is predicted by this crazy formula, where T is time since 1900, years since 1900. Predict when the population, what year? Okay, what year the population will hit 150,000. We could do that algebraically. Does that sound really fun? Put in P equals 150,000, subtract, and do quadratic formula with really ugly, disgusting numbers, right? Pass. Let's go with graph it. Okay? I'm not going to graph it for you. I want you to be doing this. So what would you put in Y1? You would put this, except you'd put in X's, right? Instead of T's. And in Y2, I would put 150,000. You could have set them equal and moved it all over and found a 0 or something. I'm just going to put them in, and then if I put them in two separate equations, I want to find the what? Good job. What seems like an appropriate window? If it's years since 1900, right, we don't need to know before 1900. We could go, you know, you don't know. It might be at least 100 because that would be year 2000, right? So, I don't know, try 150. I'm just guessing. You could start with 100, go 200, try whatever. All right, what about this guy? The Y. Okay. We are going to get a straight line at 150,000. We already know that because we typed that in, right? So this window, you could put 150,000. I probably put 200,000. Okay. Does it come down or go up or both? Or oh, it's doing this, right? Duh. Yes. Yes, that's what I did. 0 or something. 106 point something? 0.4. Did everybody find that intersection points? Intersections, second trace. Choose choice 5 as intersects. Enter, 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 as long as you don't have more than 2 equations in. Nothing complicated about finding an intersection point. Everybody okay? All right, is that the answer? 106.5? It says what year, right? So we would have to do 1900 plus 106.5. So during 2006, is that right? So between 2006, 2007. I did not put both of those as choices, guys. I wasn't trying to trick you. Is it 2006 or is it 2007? One of those is a choice, not both. I'm glad to know that's how you keep track of that. I kind of hope you weren't watching it in 2006.
Oh, no.
Because I think you would have given you nightmares at that age. My daughter swears that she's terrified of all things because I used to watch CSI, and she's like, gave me nightmares. All right, here we go, guys. Again, stupid questions. I made them up quickly. Bob sells mugs. If he visits 12 stores, he averages 100 mugs per store. For every additional 2 stores that he visits, the number of mugs he sells, average number per store, decreases by 5. Find the number of stores he should visit to maximize the number of mugs he sells. Now, I was nice and made a chart already on your test. How nice is that? Okay. Does anybody know what the little chart would have for this one? Stores. Okay, mugs per store, right? And like total mugs sold or something. Okay, sorry, that's really scribbly. All right, what are we going to start with? 12 stores, 100. So right now he's selling 1,200 mugs. You might want to do one more just to give yourself the pattern. Okay, you don't have to. You can jump straight to the equation. But it says, what's happening here?
For every 2 stores he visits.
2 additional. So what would we do next? 14 or 12 plus 2 over and over and over? Where x is the number of increases or decreases. Because this one's going to decrease, right? What's this one doing? Decrease by 5, so this would be 95. So we'd have what? There we go. Now, what is 14,995? Anybody do that? 14 times 95? What? 1330. So it is still going up. Okay? To find the maximum, algebraically, you could FOIL this together and use x equals negative b over 2a. And it would give you the maximum. Most of us have done it by graphing. Think about this for a minute. What's an appropriate x window? 100 minus multiples of 5. Can't do that more than 20 times, right? Because then you'd be down to 0. So 0 to 20 is an appropriate x window. What's y? What does the y represent? Total number sold here, though, right? So it's a big number, and it was still going up. So I don't know, try 2,500 or something. This time you're finding a maximum, not an intersection point. Is that choice 3, 4? I think it goes value 0 min max intersection. Is it min max intersection? Yep, that's pretty sad that I have the calculator menu memorized. Okay, so the maximum comes out at, is it 7? And then 1690. Am I remembering that? Again, something long-term memory from teaching it 3 times today. All right, be careful. That doesn't answer the question, though. I gave you another gift on the test. I wrote, he should visit blank stores. I actually typed that on the test for you because hopefully you're not going to put 7 there, okay? We got to plug the 7 back in here. If we do here, 2 times 7 is 14 plus 12 is 26 stores. If you wanted to know this, you do 100 minus 35 is 65 mugs at each, and it would come out 1690. So the answer to the question, though, is what? 26 stores. Okay. So was he slacking at 12 stores? Yeah, because he could go from 1,200 mugs to almost 1,700 mugs, right? And I'm sure they were coffee mugs, not beer steins, right?
Everybody likes coffee.
All right. There's a question like this. This is truly review from last unit. It's just in a little bit different notation. Everybody's okay with f of x being y. Everybody remember how to do this? What would you do first? Slope. So y minus y over x minus x. Well, the slope is a lovely 8. Then what?
Then you do points or 0.
A lot of us would do point slope. It's okay to do y equals mx plus b. What's wrong? Did I do something wrong? The faster way for some people would do this form. Put in your 8 here, and then you have to put in for x and y one of your other points, like 11 and 4. And this is 32. You subtract and get negative 23 equals b. If we do it this way and we use that same point, y minus 11 equals 8 times x minus 4, you have to distribute. Some people keep forgetting these parentheses. We get y minus 11 equals 8x minus 32, and then you would have to add 11, and you get 8x minus 20.
It doesn't say it has to be in.
Yeah, what did I do wrong here? This is 32. What did I do wrong, guys? This is supposed to be a 21?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right. It doesn't say slope-intercept form.
Just leave it in the point slope form.
No, because you cannot have a y in your equation.
We just move that.
Could you if you wrote this, 8 times x minus 4 plus 11, so you just slid the 11 over there, that would work. Okay? Both of those are in function or y equals form. I don't care. It doesn't say slope-intercept. But you're right. But you have to put it in y equals form of some kind. Last one. Okay? There's a question like this. Remember all those dog pen, Farmer Joe making an animal pen on his, splitting it into 3? It's not like that, okay? It's not split into 4 separate sections. It's just a rectangle. Fanny has 200 feet of fence to build a rectangular dog pen. Straight up rectangular dog pen, okay? Let x be the width of the pen. Write an equation giving the area in terms of only the width. Then find the dimensions if the area is 1,875 square feet. We started out with 2 variables because we felt more comfortable with that. Okay? So what did we say? If we had an x and a y, then what? That's the perimeter, yes. What's the perimeter have to be? 200, because that's all the fence we have. Everybody good? Now, if you wanted to write an equation for area, you would multiply, and it actually has to equal 1875, right? Now, it says write an equation giving the area in terms of its width. So you need to say area equals something that has only x's in it. This is actually partially a multiple choice question. Do you remember what we did to get rid of the y's? If we divide all that by 2, right? We'll have x plus y equals 100. Everybody okay where I got that? Halfway around the dog pen has to be 100, right? So if I moved that x over to the other side, I could replace this y here with what? Be careful, 100 minus x. So the expression you would look for would be one like this. Did I skip too many steps? Do you need me to write it out better? 2x plus 2y equals 200. If I subtracted this over, I'd have 2y equals 200 minus 2x. Then I divide it out by 2, I'd get 100 minus x. Everybody okay? That's what I did. Is that a better explanation? Okay. So area is length times width in only x's. That's this part where it says write an equation. Okay, it's going to look like that. Now how do we find the dimensions if the area is 1875? If you had to do that algebraically, you'd have to distribute, get it all equal to 0, use quadratic, it actually factors. Okay? We did a lot of these with big numbers like that just by graphing, right? So into y1, I put x times 100 minus x. Into y2, I put 1875. What's an appropriate window? 0 to 100 can't be more than 100, right? 100 minus x, 100 minus 100 would be 0. We're out of luck. I'm looking for where it hits y equals 1875, so I might go to 2000 or 2500. I don't really know. This is at 1875. What would this be an appropriate one to use zoom fit? Because I know the x can only be from 0 to 100, right? So if I set my x as 0 to 100, then I hit zoom fit, it would give me the whole parabola. Zoom 0. But you have to set your x first, or it doesn't give you an appropriate window for your situation. I think you get a parabola that crosses twice that line, yes? Mm-hmm. If you're using this method, you do intersect. I believe that's 25 and this one's 75. Did anybody find them? Okay. How can there be two answers? If x is 25, 100 minus 25 becomes 75, yes? If x is 75, 100 minus 75 is 25. One is the length, one is the width. And it doesn't matter which one's which, in my opinion, okay? Because it's just going to say find the dimensions. Yeah, we used to have a teacher who said length is always longer than width. But I don't know that that's a golden rule written anywhere. They're just the dimensions. I feel like we just kind of, you know, when I think about it, was it long and skinny or was it wide and short? And I don't know which dimension is which. So 25 by 75. That's everything I wanted to review for the test. We went kind of slow, but I hope it was helpful. Okay? You can go home and practice those. You can watch the video again, whatever will help you. All right, the test is tomorrow.